Welcome to the SMB Community Podcast with hosts Amy Babinchak, James Kernan, and Carl Polachek. Produced by Kernan Consulting and for the international MSP community. We are dedicated to making every IT professional a successful IT professional. The SMB Community Podcast is brought to you by Kernan Consulting, your mergers and acquisitions experts. Since 2006, we've been through over 30 transactions, and just this past year, we've been involved in over 6. So if you're interested in either buying, selling, or valuation information, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. There's a ton of activity going on, and you can be a part of it. Reach out for more information at kernanconsulting.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the SMB Community Podcast. This is James Kernan with Kernan Consulting, and I'm back with my good friend, Amy Babinchak. Hey, Amy. Good morning.
Hey, James. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. Good to see you, Amy.
You don't look like you have the Super Bowl flu, but I read that 26.3 million people were expected to have it this morning.
Well, I think that's called a hangover. But
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, certainly I know there's plenty of people that are sick over the results, but there's also plenty of people that were super happy about the result.
Yeah, it was a shocker, a little bit of a blowout, but I thought the game would be a lot closer. But I was rooting for the Chiefs, but I figured the Eagles would win. They playing great football right now. So, and it looks like that's what happened.
They played amazing football, and I watch a little bit of football here and there. Not a huge fan. We watch our college team and then an occasional pro game. But boy, the Chiefs could not pass. Their quarterback was just getting sacked and sacked and sacked and off balance and everything. I mean,
I think you wrote it right there. To me, that was the difference in the whole game. The Eagles rushed just 4 guys, which is rare, and they got 6 sacks, 2 interceptions. They had pressure on him over 50% of the time. So, meaning like he was scrambling for his life. So, I think that's what changed the scope for Mahomes.
It did. I don't know who they labeled as the MVP for the game, but it should be those 4 guys.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. You know what? I think you're right. I'm pretty sure Hurt, the quarterback, I didn't see that, but I just assumed Hurt would get it because he had such a great game. And they scored so many points. But yeah, that defensive front, that was the game changer for sure.
Totally was.
So what do you think about the whole like halftime show and all the entertainment? Did you give everything a thumbs up, a thumbs down? What was your overall experience with the Super Bowl?
I thought the entertainment was very good. I enjoyed all of it. I thought the pregame show was excellent, and I appreciated the more low-key halftime show than some of the others have been getting, really over the top and hyper energetic. I wasn't familiar at all with the artist, but it was not my kind of music really, but I did enjoy it.
I like how they mixed in so many different artists. I mean, before the game, they had Lauren Daigle, and it just, I like the overall production. I mean, it's the Super Bowl is, I was fortunate enough one year to go to the Super Bowl. My wife and I were invited. It was when it was in San Diego. I think it was the Broncos and the Green Bay Packers, and the John Elway and the Broncos ended up winning. But it's not the Super Bowl. That's all the fun. It's all the fun parties coming up to the Super Bowl. So it's almost like a whole week of events. But that's why I asked just kind of your big picture view, because there's a lot of other things that go into, a single football game.
Yeah. And right now there's a lot of controversy about the national anthem, and some people liked it and some people didn't like it. And I'm a huge fan of Jean-Baptiste, and I thought he did an amazing job at it. It was totally on brand for him, and I loved his rendition.
I liked it as well. I was more of a fan, I guess, of the entertainment before the game. The halftime, I wasn't really paying that close attention. I was couple of the commercials were pretty funny. Some of them were kinda creepy, like the skin cowboy hat, that was kinda weird, and then Seal's face on an actual seal.
Those were both super creepy.
Super creepy, I agree.
Super creepy. Yeah. I don't know. I did appreciate the commercial on breast cancer. I thought that was important and really well done. But yeah, I wonder, because the game was really pretty lousy. I mean, I like the football, regardless of who's playing. I like the football game when it's close. Then it's two good teams battling it out. It has that tension. Who's going to take it. But this game didn't have any of that, and it's really unfortunate. So I wonder. I bet a lot of people started tuning out about halftime.
Yeah, that it looked like, according to the articles I read or the social media feeds, it felt like most people were complaining about something, the game, the entertainment, or whatever. But anyway, life moves on, right? Life moves on.
Life does move on, and so we have our MSP question of the week.
Yeah,
And our
good.
question of the week ties right into your class, which is starting tomorrow. Um, and our question is, how do I get an idea of what my business is worth? This has got to be the question that I get asked the most.
Yeah,
People are always asking me this question, and the answer depends on how deep you want to get into it, right? Are you just curious? You're not ready to sell your business. You're just sort of, doing it as a yeah. How am I really doing, right? A kind of a benchmark thing, or is it, hey, I'm reaching the end of the run with this business here, and I need to know how much it is because they're two different answers, really.
yeah. It is very, very different. I mean, the real answer, it's what someone else is willing to pay for it at that one given time, okay? That doesn't answer the question that most people want, but it depends on all sorts of other things. In general, I would always like saying, take a look at your, 3 years of profit loss statement and, come up with an average, net income number. You add back in your, uh, seller discretionary earnings, which are add backs, the seller's compensation and expenses that wouldn't exist once you sell the business. Normally, it's owner's compensation and owner perks, insurance, car, things like that. You add that back into that net income number, and then you come up with a multiple off of that. So in
Mhm.
general, for MSPs between 1,000,000 and 5,000,000, it's between 3 and 5, but it's a lot more than that because it's a lot more things go into those numbers, the trends and lawsuits and agreements and your monthly recurring revenue and the terms of your MSAs, things like that. But in general, that would be my answer.
Yeah, that's a really, really good way to come up with a ballpark. You can also simplify that even further if you're just doing it out of curiosity and not ready to sell. When you're ready to sell, you need to get yourself an actual valuation. We need to consult an accountant who's familiar with MSPs and get that done. Things that are going to negatively affect you are a lack of MSP style services. So if you're a break fix firm, gosh, they only go for about 10% of what they would go if you're an MSP. That's not a reason to make the conversion. I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Um, but if you're an MSP and you're putting 20-25% to the bottom line as you should be, uh, that means that you can look at your top line and say, this is about what my business is worth. If you're not putting that much to the bottom line, then you're going to have to do a little bit more math and figure out why that isn't the case.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great point. The core services have a lot to do with it. Sexy core services, hosting, AI, cybersecurity, compliance, those are things buyers are looking for. Seems like the multiples are higher if your services are all focused in that area. Things like break fix, um,
Product
some
sales.
yeah, product sales, that's old school stuff and the multiples aren't as high. So
Mhm.
that's a great point.
The other thing besides break fix that can really negatively affect the value of your business is having one large client.
Mhm.
If you have one large client that's more than 30% of your total revenues, that's a negative for selling your company.
Yeah, because there's a lot of risk associated with potentially losing that one client. My rule of thumb
Yeah.
was you ideally, beautiful company that has a high value, you want no one single client representing more than 15% of your revenue.
Mhm.
And it's okay to get those. You just wanna try to use that, money to diversify your portfolio moving forward. And, there's other ways to lock in big clients like that. If you've had them for a long time, long-term contract, they love you, you're staying aboard, those are all things that buyers might that could affect the valuation as well.
Yeah, you can mitigate that in some way. The best way to mitigate that is to get yourself another big client. Right now, all of a sudden, it's a less of an issue. Now it's a trend towards larger customers, and that's a good thing for your business. So,
Agree. Agree.
yeah. So the time to start to think about this is always you should have some ballpark idea, but the time to start to think about maximizing that return and getting serious about it is about 3 to 5 years before you're actually going to sell your company. So get ready to do it now and just sort of benchmark yourself along the way, make sure you're doing the right things.
Yeah, and it actually makes me feel good because there's more and more people, Amy, that have that strategy, that methodology, like, "Hey, I've been planning, working at this for several years," and just think 10 years ago, I don't think I ever heard that.
No,
And just
no, it's such a trend that when I thought about what's going to be happening for 2025, one of the things that I put out there on my LinkedIn post was 2025 is the year that M&A just becomes normal. It's just a normal business growth strategy now. It's nothing special. It's just a thing that everybody does. And so yeah, that has changed dramatically over the course. And it's a great sign. It's the sign of the maturing of our industry for sure.
exactly. Sure. People are getting it, and to your point, not everybody needs to wait, 3 to 5 years to get your business ready. Some businesses are ready now. It's a great time to sell for sure, but, you get your house in order, and there's a whole checklist. If anybody wants the checklist of I have 8 best practices that you wanna make sure you have implemented and working in your business before you sell. So, it's some of the stuff that we talk about at our mastermind events and the M&A classes. So happy to share that. If anybody wants it, just email me at james@kernanconsulting.com. I'll share that white paper with you.
Well, let's talk about the news for a bit. I saw one this morning and actually saw a commercial for it. It might have been during the Super Bowl, or maybe it was the Puppy Bowl, which I also watched. I love the Puppy Bowl. There's just you're getting the things ready for Super Bowl, and the puppies are on the TV jumping around, and it's just it's a fun thing. And my dog likes to watch it too. So. Anyway, I saw this commercial for T-Mobile that said they are now covering all the dead spots in the country. So never be without cell service again. And that caught my ear because when I travel in my sailboat on the Great Lakes, I do run into cell dead spots. If I get over to Canada, they don't have dead spots. They've invested in infrastructure to cover everything, but on the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, when I get over there, there's a whole bunch of dead spots because the private market hasn't covered that. But that's going to be changing because T-Mobile just inked a plan with Starlink to use their T-Mobile network when you're within the range of the tower and to use Starlink when you're not, thereby always covering you. It's in beta right now. I was just taking a look at their website 'cause it's something I might want to do. It's in beta right now, and actually AT&T and with somebody else, two others. I'm an AT&T right now. Customers can get in on the beta even if you're not a T-Mobile customer. So very, very interesting.
Was Verizon the other one?
Yes, yeah, it was, and it's like a $15 a month add-on. So, so you'd have to, know that you're going to be crossing into, area dead zones on some regular enough basis to make the $15 worth it. But
There's dead zones in the Midwest. I run into that all the time. And then when I travel, mostly in the United States is what I notice, and I'm with Verizon, which I think is overcharging because of their extended network. This could be a game changer. I missed that commercial. I'm glad you brought it up.
yeah,
I'll
well,
have to look into that.
yep, something worth knowing. Right, elsewhere in the news, DeepSeek got hacked. That didn't take long.
Yeah, that didn't take long. The irony of that, the hackers got hacked. No.
The hackers got hacked. There's a lot of irony around DeepSeek, isn't there? Like, OpenAI was complaining that they stole all the stuff that they stole. And then right after that, DeepSeek got hacked. So it's interesting times for sure. Government is also looking at DeepSeek. Federal government banned the use of it for federal employees and agencies. They banned it for the whole federal government.
Right.
It's a good reason for that because DeepSeek, right in their thing says, hey, all of your data will be stored securely here in China, which, makes total sense. It's a Chinese company. All of our American companies say, hey, all of your data will be stored safely and securely here in America.
Right.
So, just be careful when you choose your AI partners. That's what I'm gonna say on that.
Absolutely. I'd steer clear of that. That one scares me. The next headline is exciting for me because of your Microsoft guru-ness. You might have some wisdom to share with everybody, but I saw that Microsoft is ending that Microsoft Action Pack program that's been around for years and years here in
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah. The Action Pack has a warm place in the heart of anybody over 40.
Yeah.
We all built our businesses off that Action Pack. It was such a
Right.
tremendous value. We paid about $300 and got $10,000 worth of software. And then they started adding cloud services to it. And really, it's been a tremendous value and a great business builder that Microsoft provided. They've got some new programs for partners, though. So although it's not MAP anymore, you can still get some cloud services through some new programs that they put together. So all is not lost.
Yeah. Yeah. I just saw that and I'm doing a little research and don't laugh because I'm over 40. I'm still a Microsoft Action Pack user for my business, believe it or not. I've had it for probably 20 years, it seems like, or at least 15. But yeah, what a great program that has been in the channel for years. So sorry to see that go, but out with the old and in with the new, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the next thing we have is Team Logic. They reported a 14% jump in revenue, and they're a franchise. So that means franchises are growing in popularity. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's CMIT I know has also franchised, and they have been expanding like crazy as well. So a lot of new people coming into the industry and not going about it the way that you and I did of, starting up from scratch, but they're choosing the franchise model, which can be good. It can give you the big boost out the door when you get started.
Yeah, it's interesting. Team Logic, I've always thought of those guys as the little guys, but, their combined network now is over $1 billion. So in 2024, and then they predict and project over 500 locations by 2030. So yeah, they're an up and comer. I've heard good things about Team Logic, CMIT, as you mentioned. There's a whole bunch of good ones that've been around for a long time, and they continue to grow. So I think that just kind of points out the power of peers. You want to be around people to share ideas, share resources, and be part of some type of community. And I know that's what made peer group so popular. And Amy, you and I both grew our companies both part of other networks, other communities, and leverage that information. Never did jump into the franchise organization, but it looks like they're becoming more and more popular.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last news item for today, just to say there's more shuffling going on out there. Last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how this CEO is stepping down and, people are moving around. And that means something when there's a whole bunch of it happening. I don't, maybe you have an idea of what you think this actually means, but we see this week Nokia's CEO is stepping down and Intel's AI manager, Justin Hodard, is actually taking over that role. So shuffling, lots of shuffling. What do you think?
Lots of shuffling. There are a couple of things that I read over the weekend I thought was interesting. One, on this one, what led me to believe after I read the articles is that something is in the works for Intel. Maybe this was a telling tale. I mean, going from a, data center or general manager to the CEO, hopefully that's a nice upgrade for Justin. But it left me with the feeling that something is going to happen soon with Intel. So I just thought that was interesting. And then there was another article I read that we talked about this a couple weeks ago about Fred, the former CEO, stepping down and going into a different role at Kaseya. And this article was kind of him backtracking, going, hey, nothing's going wrong. Nothing, don't read into this. It wasn't abrupt, it wasn't an abrupt step down. It's a step up. And again, I thought it was good PR that, they, instead of a step down, it was a step up into a different role that he's helping in a different capacity. So there was a lot of backlash around. It seemed like it was quite abrupt, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, I was like, wow, this is interesting timing. And normally you give a runway, like a long, like, hey, I'm going to resign in June. It gives me, 3 to 6 months to transition. When these CEOs make these quick moves like that, it creates curiosity. So,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm 100% believing the spin necessarily, because if you were just stepping into another role, which is supposedly up from CEO, um, there would be a runway, there would be a plan, there would be the new person who's going to be taking your role there, right? We didn't see any of that with Kaseya. It was, there's a temporary fill-in from a board member that always says abrupt.
right. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I agree with you. And, the leadership there at Kaseya, but I won't even go into it, but, I agree with what you just said. I think there's something more to that, but I just thought that article was interesting. But a lot of big stuff in the news. Good stuff going on.
Yeah, for sure.
I am excited about today's interview. I've got a well-decorated, super successful channel executive out of Southern California, Manish Bhardia. And Manish has a new book that just came out. We're going to talk about that, called AI Productivity Leap, and some new exciting business ventures. But Manish, welcome. Long time no see.
James, thank you. Thank you for inviting me on the podcast. Happy to be here.
You bet. Great to see you. Being a Southern California technology person as well, it's great to reconnect with you. We always seem to run into each other at different industry events, And I think the last SMB Tech Fest was one, but
Yeah.
great to reconnect with you. And so, hey, before we talk about your book, and we're going to talk about AI today, let's go back a little bit. Give our listeners a little bit of background on who you are and where you've been.
Yeah, sure. So I did my engineering. So my dream job was coding. So that's where I was for next
Developer, okay.
8 years, like doing .NET programming, backend mostly, like complex enterprise application. So a lot of backend application, but I always wanted to talk to customer because I connected well. So people told me that you connect well, and I never thought that way, but I said, let me do project management because I love talking to customers. When I started that, I realized I'm missing technology. So then I said, let's become a consultant because you can do both. You can manage, you can guide customer, and you can do technology. So that's where I started doing consulting. So that's where starting 2012, I have been doing mostly the SharePoint consulting, then project management consulting, and then data and AI consulting. So that has been my journey.
Yep. That's exciting, and you've had a very decorated history there, and you're really well connected. That's I guess I know you through lots of places, but your company is a Microsoft Gold partner. I also know you through the IMACP organization in Southern California. I know you were a president there once upon a time. So yeah, with all the years I was in San Diego, our paths crossed many a times. And also an Inc. 5000 honoree too, which is
Yeah, last 2 years we got so the consulting business Think AI Consulting got into Inc. 5000. I do want to give a plug to IMCP, which is Microsoft Channel Partner Group. That's where I met Dave Seibert also,
yeah.
and I was not a salesperson, not outgoing person, but that group was very energetic, a lot of referral going on. That's how I grew my small business to like decent size by being there, being into trusted scenario, and then getting referrals from partners.
Yeah, that's a great organization. If you're not a member of the IAMCP, uh, Google it, check it out. There's chapters all around the world, but it's the International Association of Microsoft Certified Partners. It's a great organization. Uh, Manish had a successful track record there, and little old me when I was in San Diego, I had a little 3-person shop, and we grew from 300K to 12 million. And a big part of it was all the collaboration and the partnerships that were formed through that group in San Diego. So great one to check out if you're not currently a member. But hey, let's dig into AI. That's a hot topic. You wrote this book, AI Productivity Leap. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the book and a little context there.
Yeah, so I'm a productivity geek, and like I like to do my to-dos, organize my folders, or flag my emails. Calendar is set, review everything, and I like that because why waste time, right? When you can do more kind of scenarios. So as I started teaching some of these skills to my employees or the consultants, I wrote a first book which was a teamwork and collaboration. So that was all about how can you be productive and your team be productive. So
Love it.
I knew how I can put my thoughts into the paper. So the idea behind AI Productivity Leap was simple. How can we educate our customers or a person who wants to get started on AI? How can I give him some overview so they know, okay, they know enough about AI, and now I can talk or make decision to get started. So that was the whole focus, and I'll give you a recap of chapter 3. I cover around 65 use cases can be put in the 4 buckets.
Okay.
The bucket number 1 is your sales and marketing tools, which many of you are already using: ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot. So that's your sales marketing. Second bucket is operations, where you go to the back end, optimize some workflow like document intelligence or some of the process you are optimizing. So I would say operation area is one. And most of the businesses will use these two buckets. Other two buckets are research and code generation. Like if you have a technology company or MSP, then you're gonna automate a lot of your deployment scripts or some coding using AI. So these four buckets for a small business or a mid-sized business, if they choose from here, then that's a good start. And then in the book, I cover 6 use cases just as a sample. So you get a flavor of if you are deploying AI, what could be a project looking like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I have covered. And in fact, MSPs are our big partner for consulting firm kind of implementation. So for their client also, it's very good book. It's a very easy read. Yeah.
So, and then what was the inspiration? I think after the book, you also formed AIMEY.AI. So let's talk about that. That looks like your newest venture, AI. It's an AI firm. So tell me a little bit more about AIMEY.AI.
As soon as people saw the power of ChatGPT or OpenAI, generative AI, you realize that, wow, it can write an article, it can understand my instruction and help me on analyzing thing or generating report. That was the thinking, like how can we be utilizing that in project execution? Because there are a lot of nodes, tasks, scope of work, risk assessment. Can AI do that? Yes. A lot of things can be done by AI, and it can be really helpful when people are stressed thin between many projects and missing the timelines or missing the notes or action items. So that's the inspiration. Like I combined my project management knowledge and AI knowledge onto creating something called AIMEY.AI. AIMEY is your junior project manager. And
Okay.
Amy likes to learn. So in future, she will wants to be project manager.
So I like that. It's instead of an admin assistant or VA, a lot of people are saying that it's a mini project manager, and same thing. It's just a lot of tasks that you need to organize and productivity tool. So
Yes.
I
Yes.
I love that. And then give me an example or a use case of who would want to use Amy.ai.
You know, it's a great question. In fact, it's a job function, and my uh, future thinking is as you hire a PM for any project, you would also hire a AI with the PM. So that's what will happen. For example, construction project do lot of task tracking for internal employees, but then they have consultant or the external contractors to do certain job, right? Like you are building a house and then you have to clean up the ground first or remove or demolition. So then you will contract that to somebody. So suppose there are 20 tasks, but 5 or 6 of them are for external contractor. That many time what happens is you have the tools for internal employees, but you never pay license for external employees. So it's project manager's jobs to communicate and get a status. Can AI help on it? Can Amy do that? Yes. So that is one example I would say.
Nice, nice. I like that. And then so everybody can wrap their head around it. Amy.ai, obviously it's a service, but it's an app, right? You can
Yeah.
access it.
So the concept is just like you hire an employee and you onboard by giving them an email ID. You onboard Amy by giving Amy an email ID, and then you start inviting Amy into your meetings. So one of the key thing I missed to mention, we are not changing any of the workflow. We are just making sure the AI works on your existing process, whatever existing tool you have, like ServiceNow, ConnectWise, or Microsoft Project, Asana, or Jira, whatever you have. Amy should do those tools, work on those tools and help you. So, like you invite a new employee to your meetings, you'll invite Amy to your meetings, and then Amy is doing behind the scene job, like storing notes in proper place, following up for you, and giving you the summary. Like you will ask a person, like, "Hey, can you give me a status of that project?" Amy should give you that. So there is some website component, but it's all over, meaning all over
Very
you.
cool. Yeah, very cool. I love that. I love that. So if it's an app, you can get this from the App Store, right? So you get it
Yes.
there. And AIMEY is spelled AIMEY.AI. So AIMEY dot
Yes.
dot AI.
You can see that. I mean, I don't know. Is this a audio or video also?
On your shirt, you've got a nice logo, and it's a shame everybody can't see your background. That's a super cool background. It's one of the coolest ones I've ever seen. But that's still good. AIMEY.AI in the App Store. And then if they want more information, go ahead.
It's on Microsoft app source because it's not a mobile app. It's more of a Teams or a Microsoft ecosystem application as of now. But we are integrating with Zoom and Google also. So soon you can go to those app stores.
Shoot. Okay. So you get it at the Microsoft App Store. Okay. Thank you for that. And then to get in touch with you, I'm connected with you out on LinkedIn, so I know we can track you down there, or just go to the website. Is that the best place to contact you?
Absolutely. www.aimey.ai or my email ID is just M as a Mary, B as a boy, mb@aimey.ai.
Okay, that's simple enough. mb@aimey.ai is the email. All right, very cool. Well, I'm glad we had a chance to connect. I'm excited to check out AIMEY, and sounds like it's something I need in my business. So I'm going to go check it out in the App Store now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Manish, thanks for being with us. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, James.
All right. Last but not least, and we didn't have time last week, so we've got a bunch of events to let you know about this time. Exchange in Orlando, always popular, and with Exchange, you can get sponsored for that and actually go for free and get a really good opportunity to know some vendors quite well when you go to those events. So March 2nd through 4th in Orlando. If you haven't been to one of those before, get that on your list. It's a really good experience. I've been to a few over the years.
That's a good event.
Very, very different than anything else, right? You are locked in and you will sit. You will sit and you will learn, and they take attendance, right? So it's a different kind of experience, but it's a good one to have. I encourage everybody to do those now and then.
Yeah, and then there's another one right around that same time frame. Evergreen Elevate 2025 is March 3rd and 4th in Austin, Texas. That's coming up. That's more on the M&A side. The Old CompTIA GTIA Communities and Council have a forum in Chicago, March 10th and 12th. That's coming up. And then Channel Partners has an event the middle of March, or towards the end, March 24th through the 27th in Las Vegas. That looks like a lot of fun, but I won't be there because I'll be at the Mastermind Live event down in Dallas, Texas, March 27th, 28th. If anybody's interested in that, I can get you a free pass. Just message me. Happy to share that with you. And then NerdioCon is always a fun event. That's April 7th and 9th in Palm Springs. And then there's another big event in Las Vegas, Kaseya, as we were talking about. They've got their Kaseya Connect event April 28th through May 1st. So that's another big one coming up here, the end of, the spring, April 28th through May 1st.
It's a very, 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 very big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, really interesting to see Evergreen hosting an event. For a while, I felt like these companies are going to run out of firms to buy because Evergreen and a handful of others are all after the exact same size company. Now they find themselves in a position of having to try to create those companies in order to be able to turn around and invest and purchase them. So interesting to see their move to doing a conference.
I was at another M&A event and I met some of the Evergreen people for the first time, and it was pretty funny because I'm in a room in Dallas, Texas in December, and it was a room maybe 50 MSPs, but they were all between $1 and $10 million. I talked to a lot of them. And then Evergreen And there were other organizations very similar to Evergreen that they get up on stage and they were looking for 10 million and above transactions. So that's
You're in the wrong place.
the wrong place at the wrong time. So
Yeah.
anyway, I thought that was interesting. But yeah, they're chasing after the big boys, and like you and I've talked about, I think the real opportunity in the channel are these under 10 million MSP. There's a lot of activity going on there, from the 500K up to 10 million.
Yeah. Well, if you look at our industry, you almost all firms in this industry are under 5 million. The air gets very thin above 5 million, and that's where the venture capital money's been playing, and I think they've run out. So maybe they'll wise up and figure out how to purchase the smaller profitable firms. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to another edition of SMB Community Podcast. Hope you tell your friends and enjoy the content. We'll talk to you next week.